What is up, all you Star Wars fans out there? Welcome to the first ever debuting episode of the Fan Wars podcast. We're just a few regular Star Wars fans that love talking Star Wars, and we figured people would want to hear us talk about it because we're all narcissists. But no, really, we're just some fans. We love talking Star Wars, and we thought it'd be cool to do a podcast from the fans' perspective, so that's what we're going to do today. And we have three people on with me today. The first, David Hidalgo. David, say what's up.
Hey, what up?
And next person we got is Cody, a.k.a. Bodie Williams. Bodie, what's happening?
What's up, you sweaty nerds? Let's talk some Star Wars.
We're all sweaty here. And last but not least, the newlywed Hunter Holmes. What's happening, Hunter?
Hey, what's up? Han shot first.
Han did shoot first. I love how they made that canon to Han shot first in Solo. But first, yeah, for real. First, we want to go through and just kind of give an intro to all of us. Say how we all got into Star Wars. Bodie, why don't you start us off? Well, how did you kind of get into Star Wars? Just briefly. I don't want to spend too much time on it. And what was the first Star Wars movie you saw in theaters?
Yeah, so when I was about 6 or 7, they actually released the Star Wars original trilogy remastered in theaters. So I saw the original trilogy for the first time actually in theaters. That was my first Star Wars experience.
Dope. That's dope because the rest of us are all millennials, so we kind of got introed with the prequels, but that's dope. David, how did you get started with it? You're kind of a newcomer. How did you get started?
Yeah, I was very late to the game. The first one I ever saw fully was Rogue One. I went to go see that in theaters, and when I saw it, I knew a little bit about what the originals. I knew Darth Vader was Luke's father and all that.
Yeah, spoiler.
So I wasn't too confused. But Rogue One made me excited enough about the universe to go through all of them. So I ended up going through the original trilogy, and then I went to the prequels.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just fell in love with the whole universe.
It's how it happens. Hunter, you're up. What was the first one you saw in theaters? How did you kind of get started?
So I kind of did it differently. The first one I saw was Revenge of the Sith.
Gotcha.
And mainly reason I want to see it was lava, lightsabers. What more could I want?
That draws everybody in. Absolutely. I'm kind of the same way with you. The first one I saw in theaters was Revenge of the Sith when I was in 4th or 5th grade. Actually, one of my dad's friends pulled me and him out of school, and we went to saw Revenge of the Sith. But I saw The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones before that, just not in theaters. So Revenge of the Sith was the first one I saw in theaters. So I saw them in chronological order, 1 through 6, and then obviously with the new ones. So that's how I got started. But
so wild to think about it from a different perspective like that. Actually getting start 1 through 6. You know what I mean? It's always so weird to start in the middle I did.
I wish I had started the way they were released. I every time somebody asks what viewing order should they do, I always say pretty much the release order because that's the way they came out and that's the way the story he wanted to tell. So I always say start it like that. But I want to go around also and give a quick what is your favorite Star Wars film. So Bodie, what if you had to? It's tough, I know, but if you had to pick one as your favorite, which one would you pick?
So Return of the Jedi is the answer that I want to give. I grew up loving Return of the Jedi so much. I mean, everything about it, Green Saber Luke, everything. But if I'm being honest, even though there's some issues that I have with the movie, Revenge of the Sith is probably my favorite. I've always related a lot to Anakin Skywalker. I understand his struggle. I understand where he came from. I know that he was just trying to save the girl that he loved and yada yada.
Yep.
Just in terms of a movie that I can relate to, my favorite has always been Revenge of the Sith, even though that's hard to say that I like a movie more than Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I got you. David, which one's your favorite?
I think I'm going to be in the minority here because I guess it's tough because I would say I want to say Revenge of the Sith because I love that. And if I could only pick from like the main movies of the saga, then it'd be Revenge of the Sith. But man, I love Rogue One. I can watch Rogue One like every week.
There's nothing there's nothing wrong with that. You can pick Rogue One.
It's a popular one.
Yeah, I also Rogue One last night. If I'm being honest,
I love every single thing about that movie. Like the fact that it's written like it's written like it's Saving Private Ryan in space, you know, like it feels like a war movie.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I just want to clap. Like I'm sitting there and I just want to clap. I'm just like amazed.
Private Ryan in space.
Yeah.
Never.
I wish at the end of every Star Wars movie, I felt like I feel at the end of Rogue One. So that's why
that means it's your favorite. There's nothing wrong with that. I also want to throw that out there on this podcast. There's obviously a lot of toxicity on the internet, but we want to try to keep it civil here. We're not always going to agree or disagree, but we want to try to keep it civil on here because there's already enough hate on the internet, especially in the Star Wars fandom. But Hunter, which one's your favorite?
And
go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, let me add to that. We love the new Star Wars films too. I don't want to hear all this original trilogy is the only Star Wars. Yada yada yada. We love the new Star Wars films. Yeah. We love all the Star Wars.
We just love Star Wars, and even if we make fun of it, we make fun of it because we love it. So
exactly.
Yeah. Hunter, what's your favorite?
The one that started off for me, Revenge of the Sith, definitely got to be my favorite. That scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin at the end, like, I probably watched that scene alone once a month. I know one scene doesn't make movie, but just the culmination of the entire arc of Anakin becoming Vader, like, that's just such a significant moment in all of Star Wars. I got to put that one as my favorite. It's the
climax. That's fine. Don't be ashamed. If you love it, you love it. My favorite is probably The Last Jedi. I'm kind of with you, Bodhi. The Return of the Jedi is close.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi and Empire are right there neck and neck with me, but I love The Last Jedi. I'm a huge Rian Johnson fan. That's one for the how many times will I say Rian Johnson for the podcast? But I'm a huge Rian Johnson fan, and I love what he did with the Last Jedi. I think all the scenes are so powerful, and he took a lot of risks. They worked for me, so Last Jedi is my favorite.
Hey, I gotta agree with you. Last Jedi, if you're a real Star Wars fan and you've been following the story, Last Jedi gotta be top 5, I think, for any real Star Wars fan.
I think I know some people don't like it, but to me, I think it keeps the core values of the original trilogy, what started everything, while building on the lore and the mythology. Though that's the best way I can put it. But the first
if I can add one thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just one thing for Last Jedi. It probably, in my opinion, it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
Cinematography wise, it's like the most beautifully shot out of all.
Oh yeah. It's beautifully shot. I think sleeper on beautifully shot too is Solo. I think Solo. I know Solo catches a lot of hate from some of the fans, but I think it's beautifully shot. But Last Jedi is definitely cinematography is A1. But
I mean, The Rise of Skywalker had some powerful visuals, I will say. We'll get into that movie. I was about to say we'll say that because that's the next topic on that we have on the podcast. But also, I want to mention that we're going to be talking about everything spoiler heavy. So, like Mandalorian latest episode, Rise of Skywalker. If you haven't seen it, you've been warned. Spoilers. Yeah, wait a week or so.
Yeah. So just don't click on this. On this podcast.
And come back.
But starting with the Rise of Skywalker, I want to get into that. I know we all had kind of varying opinions of it, but I think, except for Hunter, who just saw it today, the rest of us kind of have had like a week to sit on it. So, but I want to go into just some facts about The Rise of Skywalker. It's made a little over $500 million so far worldwide. Right now on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 55% critic rating and an 86% audience rating. That audience rating is pretty good, but the critic rating is the lowest since Attack of the Clones, so that's not great. And the cinema score is a B+, and that's also the lowest ever. And the cinema score is like fan website where not even fan, just like audience website where audiences can go and rate movies that they've seen after they've seen it. One thing that's kind of a problem with the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is that people go on there and vote before they even seen it. Like they might say they hate it, they might say they love it before they even seen it, so that one gets kind of skewed sometimes. And I know Rotten Tomatoes is trying to work that out with their website, but the cinema score is usually pretty accurate, and it's a B+, which is still good, but it's kind of lower. Well, it's the lowest out of any of the Star Wars movies that have been
low
released.
for Star Wars, for
yeah,
sure, yeah.
Theatrically. So, but I want to go around and just kind of get everyone's overall thoughts on it. Hunter, why don't you start us out? What were your kind of thoughts on the movie as a whole? Not into specifics yet.
I thought the movie as a whole, just as a movie, was good. But then when you put it into so in a vacuum, it's good. But when you put it into the entire Star Wars universe, it just falls apart and isn't a good movie storyline wise for the whole arc. But I guess in this, just for itself, it was a enjoyable movie.
So you liked it kind of like as a popcorn flick, just going to just kind of eat some popcorn,
if you
get a
don't
Coke.
know any of the lore of Star Wars, it's a good movie. But once you know the lore, your opinion of it will start going down the more lore you know.
Gotcha. David, what did you think about it? We saw it together, David.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of opinions on this.
Just give me your overall thought. We'll go into specific.
I will say, overall, I kind of agree with Hunter, where it's like, if I went in there as just a general audience member and it's like, okay, I watch the movies when they come out and I see them once every 5 years, then I would have probably liked it, because it was entertaining. Yeah. But as someone that gets into the world like we do, because we're big nerds, it felt like I was watching a
big
fan
and
fiction.
sweaty.
It felt like it was a high budget fan fiction, and they threw way too many bones. Like it felt like Reddit wrote the whole thing,
Gotcha.
And it's just, I think it would have been okay if it was the first movie, but then it doesn't flow well at all, especially with The Last Jedi. It was like if The Last Jedi was a person and it had a doppelganger that was the complete opposite, it would be
the Last
the Rise
Jedi
of
had a
Skywalker.
negative version.
It would be the Rise of
Dark Side
Skywalker.
Rey version of The Last Jedi.
Yeah, because and then I'll just say something real quick about The Last Jedi. After watching this, I respect The Last Jedi so much, because even if I don't agree with a couple of things that Rian Johnson did, that guy threw no bones to the nerds. Like he did exactly what he wanted to do. And I respect that even more now that I watched The Rise of Skywalker.
Gotcha. And Cody, you were kind of chiming in there, but what are your overall thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I like Hunter, especially, so I'll admit I had a few adult beverages going in, but when I went and saw the movie in theater, I actually really enjoyed it. And then over time, as I started to think about it and really... it
didn't sit well. The aftertaste was great.
I tried to relate it to the other movies. It did bother me. There are some things, obviously, that they threw away, some things they stopped caring about, some things that they just completely wrote off to make this movie work or whatever. But I do agree, like in theater, especially I was talking to one of my friends who doesn't watch Star Wars that much, doesn't really care about all of it. If you don't know Star Wars, you would enjoy the movie, definitely. I mean, it's got some good scenes and stuff like that. And if you're a casual fan, there's some stuff you're like, oh man, I really understand this. But I would say even before I saw the movie, not being a big cinema fan like you guys are, not knowing understand movies like as much as some of you guys do, they gave the movie to J.J. Abrams, and it's like everybody knows pretty much the general opinion on J.J. Abrams, and you're going to give this movie to this guy, and it's supposed to be the last movie of the Skywalker saga. And even going into the theater, I was a little bothered by that. And then over time, it's like everybody's worst fears were kind of confirmed of what would happen with J.J. Abrams having this movie. In theaters, I liked it, but over time, like I said, the more I thought about it and started thinking about the other films, not so much.
Yeah, the biggest criticism on J.J. Abrams in Hollywood or the film community is that he can't finish things. Like with Lost, obviously, don't want to spoil any of that, but obviously people were upset about Lost.
I mean, it's been 10 years.
Yeah,
Star Trek.
That's true.
I've never seen it, but I really don't care much.
No, see, I watched the hell out of Lost. Like, I binged the whole thing in 6 months, maybe even less than that when I was in high school, and I had completely forgotten that he wrote that. And I can see. I can see what happened.
But that's always been the biggest criticism with him is that he can't finish things, and that brings me into my kind of overall thoughts on it. And I obviously you guys know, but I'm not a fan of this movie at all in the slightest. There's a few good things that I can take from it. I love Babu Frick is my new favorite character. Hey, that's my guy, dude. That's my guy. Babu Frick is my guy. I like that we got to see a lot of new planets. What's the planet from? Oh crap! Obviously Kajimi. We got to see Pasana, the desert planet that we were at, and the what is the planet called that Palpatine was on?
Is it like Zodgen or something?
It had a weird name.
Exegol, yeah, that was it. Yeah. So I like that we got to see new planets, and we got to see some old classic planets like Endor. We got to actually see Endor, not like just the Force Moon that was in Return of the Jedi. We got to see actual Endor. We got to see Mustafar, the opening scene that Kylo Ren is just mowing people down. They said that's Mustafar. So we got to go back there. That's cool. Obviously, you got to go back to Tatooine. So I like that we visited a lot of planets and stuff, but other than that, I can't really take away too many good things about it. It just didn't work for me. And that's what I want to get into next, like specifics on what things we didn't like and did like. So I'm just going to kind of throw that out, y'all, to anybody can answer this. Like, what things did you really like about the movie?
Let me start. So what I really did not like
Gotcha.
were some of the obvious things about how they ignored the original films. Like one thing, especially Josh and I have been just cracking up about is how Rey goes and visits the wreckage of the Death Star.
Which, not sure how there's wreckage there.
We literally watched it turn into vapor.
Yeah.
We literally watched it turn into nothing but
we both tweeted
the
the GIF, the second Death Star blowing up, and it's just a cloud of dust. Like, we're not sure how a full wreckage is there, like a large, and it's still functioning too. Like doors are opening.
Doors are opening. It's all
intact. Yeah, so
there's stormtrooper helmets on the floor.
Yeah, like definitely feel you there.
Yeah, that alone is endlessly funny to me. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever stop laughing about the fact that she just walks onto like a good chunk of the Death Star.
Yeah.
Anyways, bringing back. So I know some of you guys disagree with me on this, but. Bringing back Palpatine as the mastermind, to me, I never loved Palpatine. I respect where he was as a Sith Lord and how he turned Anakin and how he, infiltrated the Jedi, to an extent and yada yada, even though I didn't really trust him. Yeah. But bringing back Palpatine, it was like there's all these cool villains, and if you're gonna bring anybody back, to me, Palpatine, I don't know, that wasn't a cool one. They had a great chance to bring up Darth Plagueis or to bring him back somehow in this film. He never appeared again in these movies. This would have been the perfect opportunity for him to show up.
To add on to that, I mean, I've always thought it wasn't necessarily a missed opportunity, but it was a perfect opportunity to make Snoke Darth Plagueis in The Force Awakens. Like that, I think that would have been a great way to tie everything together. But as far as Palpatine's always been one of my favorite characters, but like to throw him in at the end, it made sense, I guess, from what they said. Like, he was like, I've been every voice and you have ever heard, so like, I guess it made sense. I can see where it can tie in all 9 movies because Palpatine's been in every trilogy, and he's been like a villain in every trilogy, but he just wasn't in this trilogy like at all. So it seems kind of like a throw in to put him there. And in my opinion, it kind of takes away from Vader destroying the Sith in Return of the Jedi and Luke's sacrifice in Return of the Jedi and laying down his weapon. It just kind of seems like it diminishes that a little bit and takes it away to me. What, Hunter, David, what are you guys some thoughts on what y'all liked and disliked?
So for me, I spent Christmas watching Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, and New Hope, and I'm glad I saw them because there's the one parallel to Revenge of the Sith is that, and it really messes up Revenge of the Sith because you hear Yoda tell them that the Jedi shouldn't even care about death, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like an entire Sith thing to even care about death because Jedi believe that when they die, they just succumb to the Force, so like it doesn't matter,
More
you know.
Do not, wisdom do not.
Exactly, and then the entire reason that Anakin switches sides is because he wants to save Padme.
Yeah,
and the only way to do it is through super dark like Sith power, you know, that he ends up not even able to do himself. Yeah, and then Rey just comes out and force heals a worm. You know, and then so
giant underground worm, space worm.
I think if they really wanted to go that way, it would have been better written if they were like, okay, like Rey is doing what Anakin did, but is going to succeed and has to switch to the dark side to save Kylo, you know? That would have been a better twist than what they did, because it's like, okay, so everybody can just force heal now, and then Kylo like watched her do it once, and then was
Kylo
like, cool, I can do it too.
Do it is just like absurd, because in the movie, in the context, it seems like he doesn't even know like that's a thing. He was like, whoa, she just healed me, and then now all of a sudden he can heal people too, and like he can bring people back from the dead, like you said, kind of takes away from Revenge of the Sith, because that's the whole reason Anakin turned to the dark side. Palpatine said he didn't even know how to do that. Like
it's supposed to be a super dark power, you know, like it's not anything a Jedi's supposed to want to do, you know.
And or even I know how to do. Like,
and I know Kylo's not really a Sith, and like Rey's like sort of a Jedi, not really, you know, but like I don't know. I think I would have respected that decision more if they were like, okay, Rey's going dark side to save Kylo, you know.
It definitely diminishes it a little bit, in our opinion. Like it diminishes the Revenge of the Sith a little bit. Doing that,
And then one thing real quick, because I don't want to take too long, but it definitely crapped on The Last Jedi. Because the entire, even with The Force Awakens, like they've spent the first two movies being like, Rey isn't important because she's like a lineage person, you know? And then especially, like, I watched the throne room scene again from The Last Jedi, and that whole scene might as well not even exist anymore, you know? Because Kylo's sitting there like, forget about the past, you know, like this is the future, like let's roll together, your parents are nobodies, you know.
Even in The Force Awakens, like you said, that like Maz Kanata tells her like your family, like what's behind you is not important, like what's ahead is what's important. Like she even says that, so it kind of takes away from that.
And I felt like Rian Johnson was like that throne room scene was Rian Johnson telling fans, shut up, like we're gonna stop,
like we're gonna stop with
people. We're going to stop with the nostalgia. Rey's not important. She's not anything. And, you know, what's funny, just real quick, my sister sent me a YouTube video that came out right after Force Awakens of someone guessing that Rey was a Palpatine. And it's like, nobody should guess your big twist 5 years in advance.
That's true.
So
but to be fair, people on the internet were guessing. There was a million theories out there that, like, people, like, for real, like thought Snoke was gonna be Mace Windu. Like that was like that theory was out there. So like people were just throwing anything at the wall to see what sticks. But Hunter, what was some specifics you liked and disliked about it?
Well, first of all, Snoke being Mace Windu would have been better than him being created by Palpatine. And there being like two other replica Snokes.
I know. There were just Snoke clones in there. That hurt me, man.
And then another one is like Rey with the Force lightning. Like out of nowhere. And
she just does it accidentally.
Like, even though like Dooku said it took him like 20 years just to learn how to make a little bolt. And then she just does it out of thin air.
The only two people we've seen do Force lightning are Count Dooku and Palpatine, and like she just does it out of nowhere. So like
doesn't even mean to do it.
Yeah, like doesn't even mean to do it.
Exactly. Pull the ship out of the air.
And then,
back to that.
Oh, I had another thing. So this is kind of not in the movies, but in Fallen Order, they tell us that the ability to touch something and know its history is like a super rare ability among Jedi. And yet both Kylo and Rey are able to do it like that. And I'm like, how rare is this ability if like three of the two of the last Force users can do it.
Yep.
It just kind of threw it off for me. I was like, I feel like that should have been more special, but
they diminished some stuff.
Kylo and Rey are like joined in the Force. They have every Force ability imaginable, and that was another thing that ruined it. Like,
I feel
what
like
can't they do?
Yeah, I feel like this movie, The Rise of Skywalker, made a lot of stuff that was special not so special. Like, their Force connection in The Last Jedi was like filmed very well, and like it was really special, and like all the scenes were very powerful, and they just kind of did it all the time here in this movie. And like Leia Force projects herself across the galaxy to say one word to Kylo Ren, and that turns him good. And it's like Luke did that, and like that was like such a sacrifice in The Last Jedi, and he sacrificed him. That killed him. He sacrificed himself to save the rest of the Resistance and stuff. And it was like, I don't know. It just felt like they diminished a lot of stuff.
Can I add to that?
Go ahead.
That basically Han Solo also Force ghosted himself, even though I know he didn't. I know it was supposed to just be a memory or whatever. Mm-hmm. But Han basically also Force ghosted himself there. Yeah. Just to hear, Dad, I know.
Yeah. and it's like,
that scene would have been way better if it was Anakin, you know, because he
Anakin or Luke. Like Luke was master too. Like,
Luke was so underused in this movie. Why did you not use Mark Hamill in this movie more?
Besides catching a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like it's a baseball.
Anakin would have been perfect for that scene though, because we spent the first two movies of him like saying that he wants to be like his grandfather. Yeah. And we know that at the end of Return of the Jedi, he goes completely good because you have to be good to succumb to the Force, you know? Yeah. So it would have been nice to see him come back as a Force ghost and be like, yo, chill, you know? Like, I was where you were.
This movie was criminal.
Yeah. Especially because
J.J. of the Star Wars or Skywalker saga, I mean, it's criminal.
J.J. Abrams said he wanted to tie in all 9 movies with this movie, and I mean, it feels like bringing in Anakin in some capacity. He didn't have to, in some capacity. Yeah, like it feels like he should have been in this movie much more over Palpatine if you want to unite all 9 movies. But they did what they did.
The only thing I think that maybe they added of Anakin was Rey when she has all the voices. I swear I heard Hayden Christensen.
Oh no, you do.
You heard every Jedi in the book,
but that's not enough. I heard it, but that's not enough.
Yeah, you actually heard both Anakins.
Yeah,
I was like, you have him on here, but you're not gonna actually show him. Like,
I wasn't a fan of the end of that movie.
To have basically no Yoda, no Luke, no Anakin in that movie was ridiculous to me.
No Obi-Wan.
No Obi-Wan. Thank you. Yes.
Besides my issues with where they took the story and the characters, I also just think it wasn't a very good film, like put together. It was very rushed. The entire plot was based on Rey's parentage, which we didn't even need because we already had that answered.
Right.
And like the plot of Find the MacGuffin, where they're just trying to find items that they all need the entire time, and like the pacing was way off. Like they were just throwing action at you, like from the jump, like just pounding action in your face.
I would agree. That movie was all fan fiction, and then also Easter egg hunts.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't feel like
Easter egg hunts.
It didn't feel like it was very well put together. And like, I don't know, when you throw so much fan fiction like that, like I told y'all off air, like I love Wedge Antilles, and like he shows up at the end, and I didn't even feel anything just because like there was so much Easter eggs and like so much nostalgia, just thrown at you. Like
Lando shows up and the crowd feels nothing.
Yeah, no. In our theater that me and David were at, no one said anything. Like
there was no reaction when Lando showed up. And he just showed up and said, "Good job, Chewie," 3 or 4 times. That was his whole role.
In the Force Awakens, in the theater I was in, when Han and Chewie showed up and they were like, Chewie, we're home. The crowd went nuts.
I went nuts. I went nuts. Yeah.
But like, I didn't get none of that in this movie. But
Yeah,
so pretty much we all didn't like it, is what I'm getting from this.
Yeah.
We all didn't like it, but we don't have to harp on that too much. The last thing I want to say about The Rise of Skywalker is I want us to rate it out of 10. So what are you guys giving it out of 10?
I'll start. Oh no, you go ahead if you're ready.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'd probably give it. I'd give it probably like a 5.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
If somebody was just a casual Star Wars fan, didn't really know much about Star Wars,
if someone was a casual fan, I would give it a 7.
Okay, I can agree with that. What about you, Bodie?
So for me personally, like I said, after sitting on it, especially for a few days, 6 out of 10.
Gotcha.
A casual fan that hadn't really paid too much attention, like for example, my friend Troy that I keep referencing, he probably like an 7 or 8 out of 10 for somebody like that. I mean, there's some good action, and if you paid a little bit of attention to Star Wars, but not a lot, there's like, oh, I remember that, so they'll probably like it. But
gotcha. Hunter, what about you?
I'd probably go right along with what David was saying. If you casual fan, yeah, you'd like the movie, but once again, the more you know, the less you like it.
Gotcha. I'm kind of in that boat too. I think as like if you're just a casual fan looking to go see something around the Christmas break or something like that, I'd give it like a 6.5 out of 10. But as a Star Wars movie and a movie that ends 9, not just this trilogy, but it's supposed to be ending a saga of 9 films, I'm going to give it about a 5 out of 10 because I think that it diminishes a lot of what the saga brought up before. But let's not harp on the negative there. Let's get into something I'm pretty sure we all have loved up to this point, The Mandalorian.
Oh man,
let's get into. Okay, so since the season's over, let's kind of go through what are y'all's overall like thoughts on the season. Did you love the season, like it, hated it? I'm gonna put that out there. Bodie, why don't you start us out?
I loved the season. I think a lot of people are going to agree with me here, but I mean, at least 9 out of 10. I mean, I can't think of too many things I didn't like. As I sent you a text, was that yesterday, last night, whatever, when I saw the final episode, when I said, that's how you do fan service without killing the entire series or whatever. It was perfect. There was enough. There was enough suspense. But, I mean, in the end, you kind of saw how it was going to end, but didn't disappoint. I loved it. I'd say at least 9 out of 10, close to 10 out of 10 for me.
Gotcha. David, what about you?
Yeah, I freaking loved the whole thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really well written. It was hard to – I think the only thing I didn't like was that they were only 30-minute episodes after the
that's
first
the only
episode.
consistent complaint I've had is that the episodes are
And I didn't mind it myself, but I know I've talked to other people who said that they didn't like some of the episodes that were mostly character development.
Gotcha.
Like a lot of people didn't like the episode where he just goes to save the the farms people.
Yeah, well, we can get into that later too.
Yeah, but I loved it, and I thought the season finale was written really well.
Gotcha.
You guys know I'm a huge Mandalorian fan, when I saw the girl Mando says she like makes the Mandalorian Jedi Wars canon from Legends. Man, I almost got out of my chair.
Out of 10, out of 10, where you got it.
Yeah, I can't believe that's canon now. And then at the end, of course, the magical moment where we saw the Darksaber. To see that in live action was just it was perfect. Jon Favreau's just amazing, and Taika's a great director. So I'm excited for I'm excited for season 2.
Hunter, what were your thoughts about it overall?
I loved every episode of it. Like some people didn't like the farm episode, but that actually is probably one of my favorite episodes in the series so far. I did feel like if you're gonna only have 30-minute episodes, it would have been nice for it to be more than 8 episodes.
Yep.
But overall, I liked it. I'd probably give it 8 out of 10.
Gotcha.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I loved it. I don't have a lot of complaint. The only real complaint I have is that the episodes are so short for being like a limited series. We know the season 2 is coming, but we don't know like how far beyond that. But yeah, I loved it. I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10, something like that too. I want to go through and see what y'all's favorite and least favorite episodes were. I'm gonna start this one out. My favorite episode was the final episode, series finale. Like you said, there was a lot of Easter egg stuff for, like, if you've watched some of the animated series and stuff like that, there's a lot of Easter eggs there. We learned a lot about Mandalore and, like, the history of Mandalore. Like you said, they made the Jedi and Mandalorian Wars canon officially, stuff like that. And even though I think they mentioned it in Rebels, but it was good to hear it, like, in this show, too. And my least favorite episode is the Chapter 4 Sanctuary episode where they're saving the village. But even I like that episode. It's just my least favorite out of the all. We get to meet Cara Dune there. I'm forgetting the actress's name. Gina Carano's character. But yeah, I liked it.
Former UFC fighter.
Yeah, former UFC fighter, exactly. But Hunter, do you have a favorite or least favorite episode?
So for me, it's tied between 2 of my favorites, and that's the last episode and the Sanctuary episode, because the Sanctuary episode is where he like that was a big step for him, because he learned to trust someone else. Yeah, really, exactly. And so I felt like that episode was the biggest character development. But the last episode, I mean, the Darksaber, come on.
Yeah, like it's hard to beat that.
My least favorite episode, honestly, probably, if I had to pick one, it would, and this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, the one with Bill Burr. The one where on the...
is that not the...
That's the one where they try to rob the, or they try to get the guy out from the...
Yeah, and then they put Mando in the prison and he escaped.
You know what?
Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I might agree with you on that one, actually, Hunter.
Because that one, it didn't do much for character development in my eyes, and it didn't do much to further the plot. It was kind of like a filler episode. And when you only have 30 minutes for each episode, like, you really shouldn't need a filler in Star Wars.
Gotcha. David, go ahead and segue into...
I'm going to agree with Hunter on this one, because I actually did like the Villager one. I talked to somebody about it, and after he basically said it almost felt like you were watching Magnificent Seven, where you have like the cowboy that's hired to protect the village. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I don't mind character development episodes. I probably agree with Hunter that my least favorite was that episode with the prison. Because even though it was cool to see him in action and he almost felt like he was like Batman in there, it didn't do a whole lot for character development. Because, I mean, most of those characters you're never going to see again. And then, my favorite would definitely be the last episode. Because, like I said earlier, anything Mandalorian, make it canon, like, I love you, and then the Darksaber, Again, you can't beat that. And I think it was like a good enough cliffhanger it wasn't too much where you're like, come on, like you're leaving us with nothing. It was just enough to leave you excited for season 2. So, I think
gotcha. Go ahead, Bodie.
Yeah, so I was going to say, first of all, just about I have a couple of notes about things y'all said. The episode length, I do have a problem with how short they were. I will say that was a little too short. But I feel like, so they were kind of, I mean, there was one that, I think they were around half an hour, and the longest one was around 47 minutes or so. Yeah, like 45 minutes. They at least did what they felt like they had to do per episode. They didn't limit it to a certain amount of time. It was, I agree it was too short, but at least it wasn't like 30 minutes, bang, 30 minutes, bang. Like, at least they kind of... And then also about Chapter 6, the one y'all are talking about, the prisoner episode, I agree that as far as the episode, or as far as the chapter, or this season of the series goes, it didn't do much for this actual season, but it did show you a little bit where Mando came from and what he's been doing up to this point, and you know, it kind of gives you a little bit of a look to his past. So I won't say it's a complete throwaway episode.
Also, we get a Dave Filoni cameo in that. Episode. At the end, he's one of the guys flying the X-wing.
He's one of the X-wings, right?
Yeah. So that was kind of cool to see him like in there. Also, to piggyback off that, it gives you a little insight to what's going on with the universe. They mention the New Republic a few times. I know most people haven't read like a lot of the canon novels and stuff like that, but like the New Republic is fairly new right now, and like they are trying to demilitarize and stuff like that, but obviously like they sent out a distress signal and the New Republic showed up like in no time, so it's still like cool to see like that the New Republic is out there.
Because the Mandalorian's supposed to be set 5 years, right, after Return of the Jedi. I think I had read somewhere that's what John Favreau said.
It was like 5 or 6 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and like the New Republic really gets set up like 6 months to a year after Return of the Jedi. So they're pretty well established at this point.
Yeah. I guess nobody ever cares about the Outer Rim because the Outer Rim is never governed properly. Yeah. And that's where all our heroes come from. Yeah,
and even they said it in like the first episode, I think. I'm forgetting the character's name, but Carl Weathers' character says like those credits, or somebody says like those credits aren't, the Imperial credits aren't going to be like any good out here, you know. That's why he wants to get paid like in the Beskar Steel, and that's just because like even in the even like in the prequels and the Clone War eras, like people in the Outer Rim didn't really consider the Republic credits like any good. Like they wanted more real, something more real for currency wise. But so
his name's like Greef Kaga, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, something.
Carl Weathers.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention about the Mandalorian. I don't know if he died, but I think it was episode 3 when we saw all the Mandalorians come to the Mando's rescue on Navarro. One of those Mandalorians, his name was Paz Vizsla, and he's from House Vizsla. And like, there's some guys like obviously David, you know, Tar Vizsla was the first ever Mandalorian Jedi, so he comes from that descendant, that lineage, that clan. So that was cool to see that thrown in there too.
Well, that whole clan was supposed to be the Vizsla clan, no? Because then when he sees the other Mandalorians, they're seen as like enemies of the state because of the Death Watchers or whatever, right?
I can't confirm or deny that. I know he's from Vizsla and like comes from Death Watch in that group, because Tar Vizsla, they had him in the Clone Wars series too, and he was the leader of Death Watch, and he tried to take over Mandalore, but I don't know if all of them...
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think all of them were just all those Mandalorians in the show are just kind of like ragtag survivors.
Yeah, that just whatever's left.
Yeah, of the Empire, wiping them out, I guess. But,
sidebar.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my one complaint I do have about the Mandalorian, did you remember the episode where he helps that young bounty hunter out? And then it ends where you see the Mandalorian armor, someone in Mandalorian armor walking up. And we never see anything about it. Yeah, they never. I
imagine they'll probably have something like that in season 2. But yeah, it was weird not to see anything about it.
I thought that was. I'm sorry, forgive my ignorance. The guy with the dark saber at the end there, or dark saber at the end there.
Moff Gideon. No,
Gideon.
Not Moff Gideon.
I don't. It looked like from the shadow they were wearing Mandalorian armor.
I didn't even notice that. Man, you guys are nerds.
Yeah. Nice and sweaty around here. Man. Yeah. But we can wrap that because we're running low on time here. We can wrap that on the Mandalorian. But see, we're all pretty positive on the Mandalorian. We all love it, and it'll be great to see season 2. Do any of y'all have any kind of final predictions on anything big we'll see from season 2?
Who knows?
I know they opened it up like a lot, but...
predictions with Mandalorian?
Yeah, I'll just throw this one prediction out there. Do y'all think we will see either Baby Yoda's original planet or learn his species name? Do y'all think either of those will happen?
No.
No to both?
Not in season 2.
Okay, no to both.
No. I don't know.
Maybe the species name. Not going to find the planet.
I don't think we'll see the planet. Maybe they'll finally tell us the species. I feel like they'll probably have some kind of parallel to the Mandalorians, because it seems like the reason the Mandalorian even saved him was because Baby Yoda was like in the same area that he was when he was a kid during the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. So they might stick to that parallel, and he'll have to like find whatever's left of that Yoda species somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah, for real.
I do think we find out Baby Yoda's name, which is going to be controversial on Twitter for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, even I see people all the time asking, "Is it really Baby Yoda, or is it just like his species?"
Yoda.
Yeah, apparently Bob Iger said Baby Yoda towards Jon Favreau, and Jon Favreau like lost it and was like, "That's not his name. You know his name. Call him by his name and stuff." And he's like, "My bad."
Okay,
like,
it's
going back to
Yoda.
names,
Yoda's
though,
been long dead at this point, so it's obviously not Yoda.
Yeah.
Going back to names, did Mando's name mean anything to you guys, or like you, Josh, that you know more stuff than we do? Yeah, does that name sound familiar at all? Like the last name at all?
No. Not that I know of. It just sounds like all I know about him is that he is from not Mandalore.
I think most here.
Like, he's not from Mandalorian, so I don't know exactly, like...
He did look a lot like Cassian Andor, am I wrong? I was actually thinking that was him for a second. I was like, wait, no, that can't be right.
No,
He looks a lot like him in the face.
Pedro Pascal, wow, you saying all Mexicans look alike?
No, I'm not saying that.
Let me tell you something real quick. I had a client yesterday that was like, we were talking about Rogue One, and he was like, "Yeah, I love Oscar Isaac." Dude, I almost hit him in the face. I was like, I almost hit him in the face. I was like, no, that's Diego Luna. And he was like, "Oh, I just always get him confused." I was like, I bet you do.
Is that
They don't even look alike at all.
No, oh man, that's pretty funny. But let's move on to the last segment of the show. We're going to talk about the future of Star Wars and where we think it's going to go. As far as films go, the only thing we know about films is that they announced there was going to be a trilogy in 2022, 2024, and 2026, and it was going to be Benioff and Weiss's trilogy, and they were doing the first ever Jedi. But they got fired from that, or mutually decided to whatever. But they're not doing that project anymore. So we don't know if that 2022 film is still going to happen. But news that came out a couple months ago was that Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel, is going to team up with Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm, and they're going to produce a Star Wars movie together. They haven't said what era, what content, or anything like that, or even when it's going to happen. But that's all we know as far as the films are going to happen. So what do you guys think? You guys think they're going to take a break from films, or do you think that movie's going to happen in 2022? What do you guys think?
I think they're for sure going to stick with the 2022.
You think so?
I had heard that they're going to announce the director for that next month, but that might just be a rumor. In January.
I don't want them to announce anything like that unless they're for sure gonna do it.
It's not J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
I mean, they might just give us a filler, but 2022 isn't that far away. Like,
no, it's not.
They would basically have to start pre-production like right now,
and
then
exactly when.
Then start production by like at least next fall,
Yeah.
So if they are going to stick to the 2022, which I feel like they probably will, we'll probably hear more news about it in the next couple of months. They'll probably just wait until the this movie releases on digital for them to start talking about it.
Yeah, or Star Wars Celebration, I think, is next August in Anaheim, so that it could be mentioned there too, or something like that. Yeah. But that's really all we know for the films is that we don't know what direction they're gonna go, and they might not even know what direction they're gonna go. So.
Yeah, I honestly wish they wouldn't even do trilogies. Like we kind of talked about it. I feel like they should just do phases, because then they wouldn't have the pressure to have to connect every single movie together. Like they could just have a big event every 2 or 3 years, kind of like the Avenger movies do. Yeah. And you could focus on different characters, even if it's in the same era, there wouldn't be that pressure.
I like that, but Star Wars for me is always like trilogies and like big movies. So like it'll be hard for me to move on from that. But I mean, if it's good, I'll accept anything.
Just with Star Wars, it's harder because of the timeline jumping. Like like they can't go and explore an area.
That's also true. Yeah. Go ahead.
If they do it, yeah, they can't go explore like the Old Republic if they started like start a new phase after Rey or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with the trilogies or just solos.
Yeah, even with like Rogue One and Solo, I know tons of people when I was in the theater seeing those movies that were just crazy confused about the timeline with Rogue One. Even you got to think if you're not like into Star Wars fans like we are, like you're just casually going, like it's hard to keep up with the timelines of something that takes place 50 or maybe even 1,000 years before something else does, so. But,
yeah, you definitely don't want to X-Men the Star Wars.
Yeah, no. Keep the continuity. Yeah, no. X-Men, they continuity, schmontinuity is their motto. But what about? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick. If they really are like, okay, this is the end of the Skywalker saga, and I don't know why they would go into the future right after Rey, because then if they go into the future right after Rey, they would have to have those characters at least be like talked about, compared to if they do an Old Republic, the Old Republic ones are set thousands of years before the prequel.
Yeah, I think that
like if you really want to start with the clear slate that's still Star Wars universe, then Old Republic is the way to go.
Yeah, I feel
will
like
they go that way? Who knows?
I feel like they will go that way. Just that seems like the most logical way to go. But let's transition over to TV shows that Disney Plus now.
Oh man.
What? You had something to add?
I was just gonna say, honestly, like I feel like they are going to go Old Republic because they put so much in Rise of Skywalker, they put so much emphasis on like the ending of the Sith and the ending of the Jedi that the only logical conclusion is to go to the start of the Jedi and the start of the Sith. So I feel like they're definitely going.
Yeah, no, it makes sense to go back, and like I said, they Benioff and Weiss, their project was the first ever Jedi, so they were going to that ballpark. So, and Kathleen Kennedy, I believe, said a couple months ago too, they're developing a Knights of the Old Republic script, but like they say stuff all the time. It's hard to tell what's real and what's not. So like, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see as far as the films. But the TV shows and Disney Plus stuff we know that's confirmed is the Cassian Andor show, which should start filming next year.
Hello there.
Obi-Wan show, which I believe they're starting to film in a couple of months. They already have a script for that completely. Deborah Chow, she directed one of the episodes of The Mandalorian. I believe episode 3, with the one that had all the Mandalorians in it. I believe she directed that episode, and she's going to be directing the whole Obi-Wan series. It's supposed to be like 6 episodes or 7 episodes, something like that. So that's confirmed. And there's been rumors of like a Solo spinoff, something maybe with Kira, or even bringing back Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo and doing something there.
I want to see Darth Maul.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But there's rumors about a show like that being started too, but those aren't confirmed. So do y'all have like anything to add on like what those shows might look like, or anything you're excited for with those?
Well, I think the Cassian show would be super interesting because it would be set around the same time that Rebels is set in. Yeah. So, the chances of this happening are pretty low. But if there was ever a chance to give us live action Ahsoka, that would be the one.
That's true. Yeah.
Because it pretty much be set line to line with Rebels. Because it's right in the beginning. Or I guess it would be a little bit after, or like in between, because it's closer to New Hope. But I think it would be. They
said it was going to be like a spy show. So
yeah. I guess it depends on when it is in the timeline. But I think it could be a pretty interesting show. And the Obi-Wan. I'll say something real quick about the Obi-Wan. I almost don't want like multiple seasons because I really like the fact that he was so selfless in the fact that he protected the child of the guy that betrayed him just because he still loved him so much. And he sent himself into exile to protect Luke on this crappy desert planet in the Outer Rim. So whatever reason they're giving this man to like get off Tatooine, or I don't know if it will be set on Tatooine or whatever, it has to be a really good reason, like I don't want 3 or 4 seasons of him having all these adventures just leaving Luke alone on Tatooine, you know?
I think they said it's supposed to be like
I guess
6
we'll see
or
what they're
7
gonna do with it.
episodes, and that's it. So it's definitely going to be like a limited series.
They could, like, he doesn't have to leave the planet. It could be stuff on the planet he has to do to, like...
Yeah, I mean,
they could
do that too.
It'll be a good chance to maybe see Qui-Gon come back. Maybe Liam Neeson come back as Qui-Gon, too.
That would be interesting.
I'm interested to see if they do, like, adapt any of the animated stuff that happened with Obi-Wan into this miniseries, or if it's going to be just all new stuff we've never seen before.
I imagine it's all new stuff, because I'm guessing you're referencing like him fighting Darth Maul again in Rebels. Yeah, I can't see them bringing that back. I can't.
I don't know. I feel like they would have to a certain extent, depending on when it's set in the timeline. You know, because.
I mean, he was only in one episode of Rebels, so it wouldn't be like bringing back a lot. But I can't. I don't think they can make him fight Darth Maul again. Like bring it to live action. He could fight Vader. I think that could happen. Maybe not on Tatooine. It probably couldn't be on Tatooine. But if he did go off world, I think he could fight Vader again, because there is a line in Return of the Jedi where he says, well, for one, he in Return of the Jedi he says. It's something like Luke's like, you will turn to the good side, and Darth Vader's like, Obi-Wan once thought as you did, or something like that. And so like you could kind of throw that line in there, like they fought again before they fought in A New Hope. So but there's tons of stuff they could do with that. Bodhi, did you have anything to add with those TV shows or anything?
Yeah, so just as far as the future TV shows, I would say I'm very, very excited about anything Obi-Wan related. I'm sure we'll get into this in future pods, but you know, he is my favorite character aside from probably Yoda and Anakin. I know that sounds like stupid to say. He's my third favorite character, but when you're talking about Star Wars, there's a billion different people you talk about. Yeah. But I will say, yes, I'm very, very excited about a possible Obi-Wan series. Cassian Andor, I am excited about that. Maybe not quite as much, but I mean, he obviously seems like he's got some kind of cool past. But Obi-Wan, I mean, you know so little about him before Episode 1, where he came from and all that, and how he became the most, you know, powerful Jedi warrior they had, other than Yoda. And I don't know. I am interested to see how he got to where he is. That's all.
Let's put some respect on Mace Windu's name.
Not a huge Mace Windu fan, but we'll get into that, I'm sure. Not a huge Mace fan.
Well, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. They've got a lot of stuff coming out. I know just for animated stuff too. The final season 7 of the Clone Wars animated series will be dropping on Disney Plus in February. I'm not sure when in February, but I think it's like the 12th or something like that. But in February, that'll be dropping too, so we'll get to see that. But other than that, it's going to be a hiatus from Star Wars. With season 2 of The Mandalorian not coming out until fall of next year, and then who knows when the Obi-Wan and the Cassian Andor show will drop, and obviously we said there might not be a film till 2022, so you know, we're going to be on a hiatus from Star Wars, so we're going to have to spread our wings to find stuff to talk about. But
hey, that's why people need nerd podcasts.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, to get the Star Wars niche. But we do got video games and stuff coming out. We've all played Fallen Order. It's great. Battlefront, we all enjoy playing that. But there's still some stuff some other stuff we can get into. But that'll pretty much be it for the podcast today. Bodhi, where can people find you if they want to ever hit you up?
Hey, I'm on Twitter at Cody S. Williams, and I am on Snapchat at BT2023. Hit me up.
Throwing up the snap. I see.
Yeah.
David, where can people find you on social media?
Hey, follow me on Twitter because I need more followers.
They need your name.
It's at David and then HIDALGO 44. So follow me. We nerd it up on there all the time.
Yep, absolutely.
Feel free to add me.
Gotcha. Hunter, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Sir Holmes.
Oh, perfect.
The one for the I in Sir.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it's called. The The space.
This is
the
great
line.
radio.
Underscore, bro. Come on.
This is great radio.
Well, I am technologically challenged and been up for 30 hours. All right.
But we got to cut on a break. But y'all can find me at the Great Josh B on Twitter. Probably the same thing on Instagram. And I'm always down to talk some Star Wars. We're all a bunch of sweaty nerds here. But that's it from the first episode of the Fan Wars podcast. If you listen to this, mainly our moms, you can just hit us up on social media if you have anything you want to talk about, comments, questions, concerns, or just want to talk Star Wars. But that's it for us. All right, thanks, guys.
Hey, shout out to
Lord Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Anakin did nothing wrong.